Hello and welcome to episode 40. I'm Julie Fiore, Austin Opera's Director of Audience Experience, and I'm honored to host this week, and I feel really fortunate to introduce a guest who has a long and respected relationship with the company, and someone I'm always happy to see on the call sheet. For those of us in Austin, Rebecca Herman's vision as a stage director has delighted audiences from the Long Center to the North Door. Her dedication to new works and elevating diverse voices is exemplified in her work with queer opera at Portland State University in Oregon, and in co-founding Local Opera Local Artists, or LOLA, with an opening production of an all-female La Boheme, aptly named La Femme Boheme, with LOLA co-founder Liz Cass as Marcello. Rebecca has chosen some really awesome Austin Opera clips for us today, and I can't wait to jump right in. I'd like to welcome stage director Rebecca Herman to Live from Indy Terrace. Hey, Rebecca.
Hi, Julie.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, we're really glad to have you. So let's jump right in. I'm curious, what brought you here, both physically to Austin and then artistically to opera?
Well, I will start with opera. My parents are both really big classical music fans, and both of my mom's parents were professional musicians as well.
Oh,
so
wow.
Music has been a big part of my life from a very young age. And I remember being taken to symphony concerts and operas when we were kids and stuff like that. When I was quite small, like eight or nine, I couldn't sleep one night, and I came downstairs and my parents were watching a Met broadcast of Das Rheingold. And
Wow.
spent a year being obsessed with the ring cycle and kind of imagining myself and my family and my friends and the roles, and imagining how I would create the scenes and stuff. And I didn't quite realize at that age that that's what a director spends all of their time doing. So that was my first taste of opera. And then I started taking voice lessons when I was 13 or 14, and spent high school and my beginning of college, undergrad, studying voice before I realized I was much more interested in the full production side of things than actually being the one on stage, and transitioned that way. So that's kind of the brief journey of Rebecca with opera. And then I came to Austin over 10 years ago now to go to grad school at UT and get a master's in opera directing.
That's really awesome.
I thought I would be here for 2 years and out, and over 10 years later, here I am.
We hooked you.
Yeah.
It happens, right?
Yeah.
As we see all around us all the time.
Yeah. Continual growth.
Right, I know, and it's one of those amazing things too. The longer you hear, the more you see it. So, okay, so let's jump right into a clip too.
Right.
The first clip that you selected is from Turandot, and you were the associate director. So, talk about what being an associate director means, what that typically means, and then what it meant for you on this production.
Yeah, so an associate director in opera is someone who has worked really closely with the original director, oftentimes is at the premiere, or if not, has just worked really closely with that director for a long time. And for me, this was Garnet Bruce. And he has been so instrumental in my growth as a director and just promoting me and giving me opportunities. And we were looking at this Turandot to do in Austin, and he was doing it in Kansas City, and the company kind of made it so that I could go up to Kansas City and shadow Garnet there and get my head wrapped around this new production that he was doing with Kansas City, so that when it came to Austin, he wasn't available for the entire period of time.
Wow.
He was going to bop in for, a couple of days here and a couple of days there, but I was really the one remounting it and putting it together. And we had, I think both the sopranos were the same from Kansas City to Austin, but it was a new tenor. It was new, a lot of new principles to introduce to the set, and also Turandot is such an amazing chorus. Just tour de force, like Act 1 especially, but there's amazing moments for the chorus throughout, and a huge number of supers. And so the company was really amazing at like giving me this opportunity when I was still pretty young and just out of grad school, and Garnet put a lot of trust in me as well. So that's what an associate director does. They kind of step in when a director can't be the one on a production that they've created, and you are not doing your own vision. You are preserving the vision of another director, but also working with the new singers to make sure that it feels like tailored to them. And you have to be kind of you have to be sensitive to make sure the moments that are integral to the production stay the same, but also that there's flexibility and making adjustments to new singers and new cities and all of that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Well, you mentioned the chorus, and the chorus play a very, very large part in this next clip. So I have a feeling that maybe that was also a purposeful thing.
Yes, I mean, that's one of the things about being in Austin for so long that I love, is that I have such a great relationship with the chorus, and I've worked with them for so long. So anytime I can highlight them and their amazing work, it's very exciting for me. And Act 1 of Turandot is just, it's short, but the chorus is on for the entire time, and it's a pretty amazing ride.
It is.
I think the clip that I picked was the end of the moon chorus, which is this beautiful, beautiful chorus where they're calling to the moon. And what they're saying is, let the moon come so that the time will be right for Putin Pao to come and execute the Prince of Persia. And then you start to see the procession. There's a whole procession scene that we're going to see the very beginning of that starts with a children's chorus. So, I mean, Turandot is epic. So the children's chorus comes down and it's beautiful. And then the monks come down with their incense burners, and you kind of get to see a lot of the fanfare that makes Turandot really special.
Awesome. I can't wait. All right, let's roll the clip. Oh, it's always hard when they're over. You just want them to keep going. Thanks for choosing that clip. It's really nice to revisit these shows.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to your next clip, which is also an incredible one. If I'm correct, Don Giovanni was your directorial debut at Austin Opera.
That is correct. Yes.
Awesome. So our next clip features a generous chunk from Don G's Reckoning, if you will. It will never not give me goosebumps. I think maybe it's because I saw Amadeus one too many times. Who knows? But I remember you and I actually having a few conversations about how much we both loved Mozart. I'd love if you could share a little bit about how you approached directing this piece and give us your take on what we're about to see.
Yeah, so I also love Mozart. The first aria I ever was given to learn was one of Cherubino's arias from the Marriage of Figaro. And Don Giovanni is just so epic and so complex. And I think the women in the piece are so three-dimensional and so fully formed and flawed, but brilliant and vulnerable and strong and weak, and like, you know, they're fully formed humans, and that's what I love. Mozart was able to create these not just stick figures. And so I think that I am always trying to find ways to give women agency, and especially in Don Giovanni when there is so much violence against women, which is a common theme and something that I think, you know, I struggle with as a director. Like, how much do I want to continue to be directing shows that have like perpetual violence against women and all of that? And one of the things that I think is so thrilling about Don Giovanni is that he actually does get his comeuppance, and actually does have consequences for his actions. And I think we're finding today that it's still, you know, however many hundreds of years later, it's not often that the perpetrators of violence against women are brought to justice. So that is thrilling for me. And I think Morgan Smith, who played Don Giovanni, and Matt Burns, who played Leporello, were so willing to kind of not be nice guys. And Karen Wolverton, we'll see a little bit of her at the beginning of this clip. Her Elvira, you know, she's continually scorned and mocked, and yet still has the fortitude to try to continue to change Don Giovanni, which I think is, you know, one of her flaws, you know, but beautiful at the same time. And then the amazing music when the commendatore comes in, and but mostly it's about the singing of the commendatore and him coming in, and you don't often hear three low male voices singing together, and to hear all of them together is really powerful and a lot of fun.
I agree completely. All right, let's see that clip. I still get goosebumps. Still.
It's the music. I mean, it's like so incredible. It's so thrilling.
It is thrilling. And I love the way that you use the supers. It was really,
Thank you.
yeah, it's a really awesome thing to do. Okay, so we're going to move on to Daughter of the Regiment, which came pretty quickly after Don Giovanni. And I don't remember the details, but I do remember that that you did have to step in from associate director to director because there was an emergency. I mean, wow! Like, what was that like?
Yeah, so it wasn't actually associate director. I was just the assistant director. Not just. I was the assistant director.
Gotcha.
And the director had a medical emergency. After he was with the cast, we were staging along for the first week, and then on our day off, he had a really big medical emergency and was in the hospital. And the artistic director of the company at the time called me and said, "Rebecca, are you ready to step in? Like, we need to, like, we have rehearsal this morning, and we need a director. Can you do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's go." And so I came in, and the cast was really great and really rallied around me. And similar to what I was doing with Turndot, I wasn't coming in and trying to redirect an entire show, with a new vision or anything. I was just taking the foundation that the original director had put in place and hoping to complete it and fulfill his vision in that instance, and just make sure that the show was staged. For a couple of days we weren't sure if he would be able to come back, so we were wanting to make sure whenever he did step back, if he could come back, we weren't so far behind that we could never catch up.
I imagine that was an interesting balance too. Like
yeah. But then after a couple of days, I think the company and the director made the decision together that they just needed to make the decision, and then it was given to me, and so I was in the theater doing all of the tech, working with the lighting designer and running the tech rehearsals and all of that. And again, the cast was so kind and generous in allowing me to step in and help them get the show up and get it running. And that's never a position that I think a director wants to be. Like, you want to have taken the time to have your own vision and all of that. And but it was really nice to be at my home company, the company that knows me so well. And I know, the technical director had my back. I know the stage management team had my back. Everyone in the front of office was rooting for me. All of the crew, men and women, we worked together every production, and they all wanted to do really good work for me too. So it was really nice to have that to rely on and not be at a new company where, I don't have those relationships and that trust built over the years.
Yeah. Well, we're always rooting for you, Rebecca. You know that. Okay. So with such a whirlwind experience, tell me why this next clip, like how you zeroed in on this particular clip.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think with Daughter of the Regiment, we always talk about the tricks of the soprano and tenor, the aria of the high C's and all of Marie's just electrifying high notes and all of that, which are incredible. But for me, I always try to find the moments of heart and the moments of quiet, intimate moments as well. And this moment at the end of the Act 1 finale is a really beautiful moment where Marie is having to leave the regiment, leave this troop of guys that have, raised her essentially and are her father and uncles and really her family. And again, it's featuring the chorus a little bit, and all of the guys that I know and work with all the time. And our soprano does such a beautiful job of connecting with each of them, and just really, making Marie's story a human story, which I think sometimes you get lost in the high notes and forget to kind of zone in on like the human character. So that's why I picked this clip.
Okay, well, I can't wait to roll it. Here we go. It's just so sweet.
Yes.
And beautifully sung too. Well, I'm loving this journey we're on. I hate to say that we're almost at the end, but we're going to finish with a bang. So the next performance we're highlighting is Otello from 2018. It was unique in and of itself. I think most of us will remember this was a semi-stage production for Austin Opera where the orchestra was on the stage. How did this change the way that you approach the piece, or did it change that?
Well, it did and it didn't. I mean, you don't have the big sets and the costumes to kind of ground the audience, but it means that all of the character work and all of the prep work that I do is even more important. And companies like to think that semi-staged, it can happen in like 4 rehearsals instead of 2 weeks. So you just have to kind of really have a game plan and know what you're doing and commit. Like there's no time for like, well, let's try it this way and see how it plays out. And luckily, I have worked with Isakaya Savage and Marina Costa Jackson and Michael
Kioldi.
Thank you.
Good old
Blanking on his
Kioldi.
name.
Yeah.
Before and in various times in my career. And so we already had a built-in rapport, and they trusted me, and I knew when I could lean on them. They're all such strong actors. And it was just a whirlwind. It was a whirlwind of getting all of this amazing music up on its feet in less than a week. So that is the big challenge. And essentially, it's still a staged show. Like, we have fewer props and we have fewer costumes to keep track of. But we were really lucky to have a great lighting designer coming in. And he and I worked a lot on like, what are the colors going to be for the orchestra shells, and how do we set the mood and shift focus down in or expand it out depending on what sort of scene we were in. And all of that still, had to be decided and discussed and planned for. And then, the other big challenge in a semi-staged concert is that the singers are in front of the conductor. And so making sure that the singers have sight lines to the monitors that are kind of downstage of them in the audience, so that they have any sort of connection to the conductor is also really important. So, always talking and checking in with the singers. Like, if you do this move, like, do you have sight lines? What do you need musically that will still tell the story dramatically? And all of it has to happen yesterday. It just had to happen lightning fast.
So the two clips that we're going to show from Otello, we're going to show them back to back. One thing I love about both of these clips is that the camera person was able to get so close to the artist on stage that you're able to see every little thing on their face. And also them being so close to the lip of the stage, the audience was able to really connect with them as well. I thought it was an incredible experience. So we're going to show two duets between Desdemona and Otello. Tell us about the first one, and then tell us about the second one.
Yeah, so I thought it would be nice to kind of bookend their story between Desdemona and Otello. And this first duet happens at the end of Act 1, and it's the time when you really get to see them as a couple and in love, and you can see Otello's affection for Desdemona and how she's really fighting for them, and it introduces the really famous kiss theme, the bacio theme, and it's just really special. And you can really see how great Isakaya and Marina are at just creating that like instant chemistry, and such great performers that and that really comes across in this. And then the second clip is from Act 4, their final duet. It's just after Desdemona has this amazing scene where she says her final prayer, the Ave Maria, and goes to bed and is waiting for Otello, and she knows what's going to happen. And then this scene, Otello has just come in and through the end to the destruction of this beautiful relationship that we were able to see at the beginning of the show, and what happens with Iago's manipulations and machinations, and how he really destroys Otello from the mind and the inside out, and the really unfortunate impact that has on women, as always. Marina and Isakaya are really great actors, and the second clip can be disturbing. So if you have trigger warnings, or if you are worried about that, just take care of yourself.
Yes, thank you for that. So here we go. We're going to play these two clips back to back, and then we'll see you right back here. God, every time I hope that he changes his mind.
I know. You're like, Otello, think it through. Just wait a little bit.
I know, right? And again, like beautiful acting, amazing chemistry throughout like their relationship. And there has to be a lot of trust there too with scenes like that, I imagine.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a really tough scene to stage and to do safely. And Marina and Izakaya and I worked very hard to make sure that Marina always felt comfortable and safe, and that we were doing things the right way. And so it looks a lot more violent. And of course, her acting is what sells it for the audience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Rebecca, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us. We're so glad that you're here in town, and we're always glad to see you. So what's next for you? What's on the horizon?
Well, I'm so thrilled to be working with Austin Opera on this concert that we're putting out soon. And then I'll be back as assistant director for Tosca in April at the amazing racetrack theater, CODA, City of the
Circuit,
whatever.
yeah.
Circuit of the Americas.
I know, not anything we ever thought that we were going to have to like say that we're like where we were, right? That's crazy.
Yeah, so I'm just really thrilled after an entire year of not working with anyone in person to be coming back into doing that, and knowing that Austin Opera is taking really good care of their artists and crew and staff, and making sure that we're doing it safely is really amazing. And then Lola, we are working on getting the premiere of this opera Lardo Weeping that we have commissioned with local composer Peter Sapczynski, and getting that out into the world, and a bunch of other fun things in the works with Lola.
Well, it sounds like this past year hasn't necessarily slowed you down very much, but did it change your focus at all?
Yeah, I think that for all of us, we are having to reassess in how we work and the ways that we can be disrupting systems that are upholding white supremacy and racist ideals. And so Liz and I have had lots of conversations about what we can do at Lola to kind of make sure that we are really being allies and being anti-racist and not just patting ourselves on the back. And we just have done an interview with Nicole Taylor, who's a local soprano in town, who has done a lot of research into Black composers, and we did a nice interview with her, and a couple of songs that will be going up on our YouTube channel, on our Lola Shorts series that we started, similar to you guys with Live in Indy Terrace. Mm-hmm. And I would just say, I think we're really honing in on how to be community members and listen and connect with voices and uplift all voices.
And I should also give a shout out to Lola as an Opera ATX partner, which is pretty awesome. So if you are curious about Lola, which you should be, there is a link to their website on the Austin Opera ATX page.
Great.
All right. Well, Rebecca, thank you again so much. And again, it's always good to see you. And I'm really, really thrilled that I'm going to get to see a lot of you in the next couple months.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thanks so much for chatting with me, Julie.
You are welcome. And we're going to take a break from Live from Indy Terrace this next week because we will be busy with All-Star Concerts. So we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for being with us.